You're here. Okay, you asked for it, so I am bringing it. Today we are going to do true nursing ghost stories. Y'all seem to love that. That's your favorite, so come on in. Let's do it. Hello, all of you spooky people, you wonderful weirdos. Look, it's okay to be weird. I'm very weird. I'm sitting here telling you ghost stories. Alone in my room in a haunted house. So, I guess that makes me kind of weird. But whatever. But I have got some great true nursing stories. Now, some of you have said, that's BS. Well, let me tell you something. It's stories that people have told in groups where they're just like talking to each other or to me, saying, this is my experience. And I'll just tell you this, as a nurse, if you haven't had some kind of experience, I have to question how long you've been in nursing. Because it seems like to me, if you've been in nursing more than 5 minutes, honey, something weird is going to happen. So let's jump right into it. Okay. I am not a nurse, but I am a veterinary nurse. We had to euthanize a 14-year-old, oh my gosh, Lhasa Apso? Looks like a Shih Tzu. I think I got that right. He had oral cancer and a bunch of other issues. Shortly after euthanizing this dog, in the euthanasia room that we use, we all heard jingling, a collar, and whining. Nobody thought too much of it. A week goes by. The body was cremated, and we called the owner for pickup of ashes. The owner came to the clinic, and she said the funniest thing. After we put him down, I heard him whining to jump on the bed. I didn't think anything of it. That's my dog whining. Please, stop. The animals never do this till I sit down to record. I heard him whining to jump on the bed. I didn't think anything of it and tried to coax him up. Then I remembered, we put him down. I didn't tell her about my experience after he was euthanized in fear of upsetting her. She seemed really comforted by her own experience. To this day, I strongly believe animals stick around just like other spirits. Okay, I have had my own after death, beloved pet stories, and I've known other people who have told me the same thing, that they've either seen, heard, felt, or whatever their pets who have recently passed away. Sometimes losing a pet is very, very traumatic, so it's nice to think that they are still hanging around you, maybe just in another realm, another dimension. Okay. I'm a nurse, and I have a few stories of my own experiences and ones from colleagues. The best one, a well-known one in our area. A doctor was called in to certify a death. On going to the ward, they passed a lady sitting in the lounge. Thinking it was a patient who had wandered off, they planned to tell the ward. However, when they saw the body, they realized it was the same lady. Legend has it, when they turned around, she stood behind them. Now that would be, I want to know, I need more information. Did she stand there, for a long time, and did she just disappear? Did she fade? Did she smile? But hey, look, I've seen some weird stuff myself, so, what do I know? I'm a nurse. We all have a few ghost stories. I used to work at a psychiatric crisis facility. It had previously been a long-term residential facility consisting of 2 old homes that were connected by a walkway. A man who resided there when it was long-term had unalived himself in the basement of the house that the nurse's office was, actually directly below the office. One night when I was leaving after my evening shift, 11 cents, a dime and a penny, hit my shoes so hard they bounced. They basically materialized out of thin air. I'm pretty sure it was the guy who unalived himself. I used to find coins all the time in the house. I think he liked me. Since I'm not scared of these things that happen, I thanked him out loud and asked if he could do larger bills next time. One must have a sense of humor. I was just thinking that. I was thinking, Hey, really appreciate the dime and penny, but could you do some, bigger coin? Yeah. I'm just saying, throw a few dollars my way. You know? I mean, I don't want to be greedy, but 11 cents doesn't go very far these days, okay? All right, so still on the same old hospital in Pasadena, Texas, census was low, so it was only two of us working in the ICU that night. The respiratory therapist periodically made rounds on the vent patients. There were two separate double doors on each end that led in and out of the ICU, and they would bang shut whenever someone left or came in. We always knew when someone came in because of the noise of those doors. Anyway, around 2 or 3 a.m. that night, we teamed up to bathe our patients. So we were in one of the rooms, and suddenly my colleague looked toward the door and said, "Oh, who's that?" I asked her who she was referring to because I didn't see anyone. Neither did I hear the door. She said that someone just walked past the room. I told her it was probably the respiratory therapist making rounds, but she was adamant she saw a man wearing a gray t-shirt and black pants walk past the room. The respiratory therapist's scrubs were teal. I called RT and I asked if they were just in ICU, and they said they hadn't made rounds in a while. I was creeped out. Fast forward to months later, we had a patient whose wife and daughters used to come and sit with him all the time. One day, when we came into work, the day shift staff told us that one of the patient's daughters can see and communicate with spirits. And she told them that there is a man walking around in the ICU. He pauses outside each room, watches the patient for a brief moment, and then moves on to the next room where he does the same thing. She said he didn't go into any of the rooms. She asked him why he was hanging around, and he told her that his life support was terminated before he was ready. He even told her his name. Her description of his dressing matched the man my colleague had seen a few months back, and back then we had a log for all of our admissions, discharges, and discharge destinations. We checked the book, and his name was there. He was terminally ill, and family had decided to withdraw care. Oh, wow. Like, as a family member, wouldn't that make you feel so guilty? Like, he wasn't ready. I don't know. What is he looking for? I don't know. Did he have unresolved business and things like that? Because we know that patients can linger and linger if they are not ready. But in this case, I guess he didn't have a choice. But that is crazy because, anybody can say, "Oh, I see spirits." And, you don't necessarily know if that's true. But when, they give you the name, they give you the receipts. You can't argue with that. So that is a crazy story. My sister works at a behavioral health that used to be a hospital. One story she told me was she was looking at one of the surveillance cameras when she saw a little boy all in white, standing in one of the client's rooms when suddenly he flew past the camera and disappeared. Okay. She has seen spirits, dark shadows, and a black figure with red eyes to hearing voices. The little boy all in white, okay, you're watching this and you probably, I'm guessing you can tell he's not real. Maybe, and he's just, that would be enough for me. I'm going home now. Okay. I've had enough nursing for one day. Yeah, the spirits, the black figure with the red eyes, you got to go. You got to go, buddy. But that's just me. Okay, so the other night, a resident sent his own spirit to get me. He is younger and wants to be left alone unless he calls us. This should be interesting. I had just finished a round and decided to sit down for a few minutes. I had literally just sat down when the biggest flash of light happens. Me and a fellow nurse look at each other. When in my mind, I hear "check on me" in the resident's voice. I jump up and go in a flat run. The resident is unresponsive and gurgling. He was in full-on respiratory arrest, not breathing, and unresponsive. We work him for 45 minutes until the ambulance gets to us. Why does it take 45 minutes for an ambulance? Okay, I don't even know, but that is a big problem. Resident is still in the hospital on ICU. What makes it weirder is as I was laying in my bed asleep after I had got off work, the same voice thanked me. I woke with chills. I'm a little freaked out. Okay, so the patient is not actually gone, but they're passing, and she hears okay. Oh, but this is not the end of the story. Check this out. Update. Patient is okay. He's coming back to the facility soon. From what I understand is the hospital won't leave him alone. Okay, I get it. It's like the hospital, he's coming back. He's saying the hospital won't leave me alone. I've heard that a lot from patients. Not funny, but it is if you knew him. And the fact that he sent his own spirit to get us that night. I have never, in 16 years, had this happen. I have seen possession, ghosts, things I couldn't possibly explain, but this experience was truly freaky and amazing at the same time. Don't wish to go through it too often, though. Yeah. Oh, wow. I mean, because, here's the thing. When you've already passed on and you were just like somebody seeing you or whatever and you've like been gone, well, there's really nothing that the nurse can do but maybe, acknowledge you or, whatever, scream. I don't know. But if you are sending your spirit, like if your spirit comes out of your body and goes down the hall and is trying to get attention, like, you better be on it, nurse. Like, you better be able to hear that. Because, like, that is scary to me. I'm not scared of ghosts, but I would be, like, they'd be judging you. Like, you know what? They come back to haunt you and say something like, yeah, I tried to tell you I was passing away. Oh, but no, you were just interested in Facebook. I mean, I don't know. That puts a lot of pressure on, though. I think, I hope I've never missed anybody. Eek. All right. I was a baby CNA fresh out of class. Lady for my first month bit, oh my God, I've had these patients, bit, spit, kicked, talked crazy, weird voices, and told us she was taking us to hell with her. Oh, I think somebody actually did say that to me. She was all contracted and bent up as well. She told us the name of the whatever you believe was in her. Oh, so she said, like, there was an entity in her. So okay, I get it. When we called the lady's name, she would say, oh, no, I'm bleh. No. I am Christian, so I didn't like to mess with it much. Get in, get out, get the job done, Well, the early morning she passed away, the thing inside her was PO'd. It yelled all night long. When her body died, it relaxed and laid flat, but the sulfur smell would knock you down. Ugh. And the lights start blinking, and the other residents start yelling. Call lights went on. It was the craziest thing I have ever seen. I called my pastor that morning and had him meet me to pray over me and oil my head. Never heard the thing's voice again and never saw another possession. Never want to again. Yeah, I have not had that with a possession, but oh my God. I don't even want to talk about it. It was the same thing. I had to call people. I'm like, I need you to pray over me. I'm not alone. So, okay, I'm going to add on to here a whole new category. Creepy things that happened that were said before a patient passed away. Man, I know. If y'all haven't seen a ghost as a nurse or had some of these experiences, I know. If you've ever had a patient pass away, you know. If you know, you know. I've had so many patients, and maybe some of you have too, that have really been very, very stable. Like, you think everything's fine. You're like, oh, they're going to get discharged from the hospital in a day or two. I've had them tell me I'm going to pass away. I had one guy tell me, and he said, I'm not going to be here. And I was like, what do you mean? He said, I'm going to die this weekend. And I was like, no, you're not. Like, you're doing good. You got a few things, but you're doing good. Everything's stable. When I came back on Monday, he had passed away. Yeah. Over the weekend, like he said. So it's crazy. Have you ever had a patient tell you they're going to pass and you're like, well, believe it. Something else someone has said. I see my brother. He has my dog. He passed the next day. So I hope your brother was in heaven, I guess, with your dog. Your dog passed too. I've got questions, but that's the way I take it. So if that's the way it is, I'm saying great. That is great. 2 days before my first hospice patient passed, at 3 a.m., her air conditioner turned on by itself. Then the dogs start going crazy. The dogs next door started going crazy. I went to check on her, and she had sat up in the bed and repeated, "The angels are coming." This all happened within 10 seconds. I was so freaked out. Wow. So then she did. 2 days. Yeah. 2 days later, she passes. Hey, like I said, it happens all the time. There are signs. Y'all, if you're a new nurse, there are signs. Okay, looked after lady in ICU 8. Husband had passed in ICU 13 a few weeks prior. He was also my patient. As I was perched on the chair in her room getting vitals or something, she told me to stop sitting on Roy. She passed that night. Now, Roy was her husband. This lady also tried to stab me with a pen and hit me with a phone because she said I'd killed Roy. He had told her that. Well, I'm gonna say that I believe that you were a good nurse. I'm taking it that like you were just doing your job. But can you imagine these ghosts out here just blaming you? And I don't understand. Like, I'd like to know, why were they both in the ICU? Like, were they in an accident or something? I don't know. But look, if you're a ghost, don't be lying on these nerves. Our job is hard enough, okay? Give us a break. Jeez. I had a lady tell me that she was going to go to sleep soon and not wake up. 2 days later, after talking to the nurse on shift, she said she was going to take a nap. And the nurse came back not even 2 minutes later to assist her roommate and realized she looked off while she was laying there. They couldn't wake her, and when they listened for her heartbeat, it wasn't there. Creepiest thing ever. They know, y'all. Like I said, if you are a new nurse, or if you've just never had anybody say anything like that to you, like, pay attention. They know. They know when they're going. Not a patient, but my father. He was diagnosed with melanoma brain cancer, and just 3 months later, he was leaving us. He had been unresponsive for about 2 days, and I had been sitting by his bedside, gently stroking his hand and arm, when he suddenly opened his eyes and said, "Don't you know you aren't supposed to touch someone when they're trying to die? It's counterproductive." I said, "I'm sorry, I'll stop." He passed the next day. You know what? I feel for this guy. I think if I was, I know a lot of people want that, the hugs, the touches, the comfort. But I kind of think I'm going to be like this guy. Like, don't touch me. I'm trying to die here. Please, let me just go. Get your hands off of me. I get it. It's counterproductive. I feel you, sir. I do. I feel you. One night, a lady was yelling, "Taxi!" at about 4:30 in the morning, and I told her that the last taxi left at 4 a.m. The next day, she passed away at exactly 4 a.m. So, is that how we're going now in a taxi? Like, what about Uber? I mean, I guess no chariot's coming to pick you up. I don't know. I'm going to go with the angels, not a taxi. But that is so funny because, like, she's leaving to go. And exactly at 4, come on, she had it planned. Okay, when she found out it was 4:30 and there were no taxis right then, she was like, okay, I'm not going to be late tomorrow. So that's crazy. A patient that was pretty much non-responsive sat up in bed and said, "They're here," and fell back to the mattress and died. Okay, when I read this, I was thinking in my head, I was hearing like, that old movie, Poltergeist. They're here. Like, and that's crazy. When he's non-responsive, laying back, and he all of a sudden, like, yeah. But I guess they were here. I guess they weren't even giving him any time. They're like, we got 2 more pickups. Come on. Let's go. I'm an outpatient oncology nurse. This is a story that a patient's wife told me after he died. To set the stage, this was the same week as the tsunami that hit Southeast Asia several years ago, where many people lost their lives. He was on hospice from terminal prostate cancer. He was napping one day, and she went in to check on him. He told her that he had a dream that he was waiting in line in heaven, and St. Peter told him to go home because the line was too long and he'd have to wait his turn. He lived another few days and then he died. Yeah, do y'all remember that tsunami? I remember. It was horrible. Like, I don't know. Is there like a long line? But you do have to wonder. And do you have to like stand there and wait your turn? And how long and do they have snacks? Because I'm just saying, if I gotta wait in a line, like, I'm okay with waiting in the line, but I'm gonna need some snacks. Hopefully you're going to the right place, so maybe that's how you know in the beginning. Like, if they say no snacks for you, you might be going somewhere else. I don't know. I won't know until I'm in that line, will I? I had a patient who had been a dance teacher with his own dance school. He had no family, and a friend sat with him all day, every day. She came out of his room and to tell me she thought he had passed. I went in to check. It was really quiet and peaceful. I let his friend know that I'd get the doctor to confirm. She went off the ward as she wanted some fresh air, and I went back in and tidied his bed to make him look nice for her when she came back. I got the doctor, who always liked someone with her. Went back into the room, and the radio was playing this old waltz type music that I had never heard before. Nobody had been near the room except me, and his friend still hadn't returned. The music was beautiful, but very eerie. The doctor was completely freaked out when I told her. Oh, wow. Good for you. I mean, he just tuned it into, like, the ghost station. Like, what would that be? Like, what would the call letters be for the ghost station? I don't know. Y'all tell me. Give me some suggestions. Oh, I'm sorry. Look, I didn't even say Scully. Okay. Say hello to Scully. Yeah, I'm sorry I ignored you. Ghosts. Yeah. Okay, so again, talking about things that people say right before they pass. Hand me my cane to walk with the angels. She had been unable to walk for over 5 years. Aw. Well, honey, I hope if you're walking with the angels, I don't really think you're going to need that cane. But I guess because she hadn't been able to walk, maybe, I don't know if at all or just without a cane. I don't know. But I don't think you're going to be needing that cane. I love this one. Let me sit up and get my last glimpse of the world. I guess in your body. Is that what they mean? Like, in my body, let me get the last glimpse. That's very interesting. Patient told me, don't change my dressing. I'm going to die. She coded a half hour later. We did not get her back. First of all, thank you. Thank you for letting us know. Because it doesn't matter what time the doctor's supposed to come in. When you're in the hospital, you wait and wait because you want them. You got to take the dressing off for the doctor to look at the wound, and then you put it back on. So you don't want to change the dressing until the doctor comes back in, right? It doesn't matter. He's always going to come after you have given up seeing him and you finally change the dressing. Within 5 minutes, that doctor's going to walk down the hall and say, oh, I need to see so-and-so. And you have to redo the whole thing. So thank you. Thank you, ma'am, for letting us know you're going to pass and we don't need to do that. That was very kind. Again, they know. Y'all, they just know. Had a patient hand me their oxygen saying, I'm going to go home now. I work in a hospital. I put it back on them and I said, oh, maybe in the morning. Chalking it up to confusion, like thinking you're going to the home, like your house home. Nope. The next time we went to check on them, they were gone. Yeah, you didn't get it. But I would think the same thing. I'm going home. Yeah, you just think they're confused. Obviously they're on oxygen, so there's a little confusion going on. And oh my gosh, y'all, oh my gosh. I had a little lady at the nursing home I used to work at who always loved to listen to me sing. I was working night shift at the time. She made me promise when she was dying that I would be there to sing to her. It was around 2 a.m. and she had put on her call light, which she never did. I walk in and she looks at me and smiles and just reaches for me. She had had a major decline in a short period of time between then and when she'd asked me to sing to her. And she just said, it's coming, and held my hand. For the next 3 nights, I sat with her and sang I'll Fly Away and held her hand, and she'd cry and try to sing along with me and put her other hand in the air like she was praising God. The last night I saw her, I had just got off my shift and stopped to see her. She kissed my hand and told me she loved me and that Mommy was there. I told her to tell Mommy to wait just 2 more nights because I was off, so I could be there to tell her goodbye. She just smiled and said, Mommy isn't very patient, and laughed a little. The next night, around 2 a.m., she passed away. They said they sang to her for me, and when they opened the window, and keep in mind, it was early summer, and it was hot and muggy in that building, and outside. The room went cold and the lights dimmed, brightened, then cut off. I believe she was saying thank you and goodbye because she always used to offer us a drink of her water because we were always sweating working in that place. She was a wonderful woman and I miss her dearly. That is a sweet story. Mommy's not very patient, but what a great way to end her days with you singing to her, even if you weren't there that exact night. She knew. We had a rush admission from the ED. The patient was actively dying per report. She was placed in the room and I went in to do a quick check. She was awake and alert. I introduced myself and she looked towards the ceiling and told me there was a fly on the ceiling. I looked up and I didn't see a fly. I assured her there was no fly. She looks over to her bedside chair, which is empty, and says she doesn't see what we see. I tell her I'll be back in a few minutes, since she didn't seem to be anywhere near death's door. I'm making my rounds a few minutes later when my StatView pager shows the patient to be in asystole. I think to myself, no way. I go back to the room and sure enough, she has passed. I'll always remember this patient and hope a fly is not the last thing I see. Sister, me too. I don't know. Do you think it was a fly? Hopefully it was something good. It was just far away and it looked tiny and it had wings. I'm hoping for the best here. But I'm going to tell you, I hope a fly ain't the last thing I see either. I hate flies. I had an elderly woman in the heart unit and we were giving her blood. She said, "Who are these beautiful men?" I asked her, Where? She pointed to both sides of her bed. She said they are so beautiful with real fire in their eyes. She had a conversation with them that I could not decipher, and with her hand outstretched, she passed away. Okay, first of all, that is a great way to go. I want to say, me some beautiful men. Oh, yes, Lord, send me some beautiful men to escort me to heaven. I'm just saying, come on. Working in a nursing home, one resident, she was like 90 or so, was lying in bed and asked me if I could wash her hair, saying, I can't show up in front of St. Peter looking like this. I was like, come on, it's not your time to go yet. But I washed her hair and she looked at me and said, Danke, which is thank you. And by the time I got to empty the bucket with water, she had passed. Oh my goodness. I would have wanted my hair styled, but you can't show up in front of St. Peter looking like this. I'm sure, madam, that there are people that come in very bad states. I mean, he's probably used to seeing it all. But, you might have time while you're in that line waiting for your turn, and with the snacks, hopefully, maybe you'll have time to fluff your hair, let it dry. Something. I don't know. I hope so. Okay, I hope you enjoyed these stories. Look, if you have a story of your own, and I know you do, if you want to hear the nursing stories, then y'all nurses, please submit them. Or any other profession, like, firemen, policemen, whatever. If you are in a profession that you have a lot of weirdness. Oh, I should have said this first. I've started a Facebook page for Evelyn Cottage, and I'm going to leave it a link. I put it on the community page, but I'm going to leave it below this video so you can, put or even message me, put your story on there. And if you do, please let me know if you want me to share your name or you don't want me to share the story at all. Let me know, and I will honor, whatever you ask me. Hit me up at evelyncottage@gmail.com, and when I get enough collection of your stories, I'm going to do another video submitted by y'all. Wow, that was a lot. It was longer. You asked for longer, and I'm kind of tired now. But look, I still have a lot of stories to go, and I will see you next time. In the meantime, y'all, listen to your patients, pay attention, and whatever you do, stay spooky. Bye-bye.